Our team at Atlantic Construction Podcast is excited to announce our newest partner, Luminous Labs. Luminous Labs is the leading provider of architectural visualizations for developers, homeowners, architects, and more. Luminous Labs has a team of experienced designers and visualizers using cutting-edge technology to bring your 3D renderings to life. Using these architectural visualizations will give you a sense of scale, space, and design, allowing you to make informed decisions about your projects before construction even begins. These high-end architectural visualizations are a perfect tool for presentations, marketing materials, and design reviews, allowing you to communicate your vision to stakeholders, clients, and more. We'd like to thank our co-branded partner, Procore Technology. Procore Technologies is the global leader in construction management software. We look forward to having many guests from across the country from all different capacities under the Procore partnership umbrella. We'd like to thank our formal partner, Payzant Building Products. Payzant has a 60,000 square foot facilitation center currently underway, as well as acquired a new location in Windsor. Lots of change and big news with Payzant, and we look forward to having them back on the podcast in the near future. Okay. Welcome back to the Atlantic Construction Podcast. Very pleased to have our guest today, another fine guest from New Brunswick. We have Rob Clinch, CEO of Avant Garde Construction Management. Thanks so much, Rob, for making the trip over and being with us in the studio
it's
today.
my pleasure. Yeah. It's a beautiful day in Halifax today. Nice time to visit.
It is. Great day for a drive.
Yeah, perfect.
We were chatting earlier just about your time at McGill University and a little bit of your backstory of working in Boston for a little while and then back over to Moncton for your first gig before you started Avant Garde with your partner. Maybe just kind of for our audience, just give us a little backstory.
Yeah, I'm from northern New Brunswick. I grew up in Bathurst, and I left there to go to McGill University. I was studying engineering. I was fortunate enough I played hockey my first 2 years there, so that was kind of the opportunity that got me.
Forward, D, or?
I played a lot of center.
Yeah.
So
must be some good hockey.
It was good. I mean, I was really young at that time.
For University of Boston?
Yeah, for university at McGill.
At McGill, right.
I was 17, just turning 18 when I got there. A lot of the players were just coming out of the queue. So it was fun. I did it for the first 2 years I was there, and then thought,
now we got to talk hockey.
Yeah, that's it. As long as we don't talk about the Leafs.
Yeah, that's right. So you were a Habs fan.
Habs
so that
fan.
fit.
Yeah,
Not because you went to McGill. You were a Habs fan before.
I was a Habs fan kind of when I went there, and then went full in.
Do you still play any hockey?
I just stopped probably 3 years ago. I stopped after I finished university. I stopped for probably about 8-9 years, and then I started playing pickup in and around Moncton. Met some great guys, played hockey with them, and then my girls are all into ringette, so I was spending a bunch of time at the rink with them, and I was helping to coach, so it was just enough rink time. You're at the rink 6-7 times a week.
So when you're at McGill, you're studying civil engineering, right? But were you thinking at the time, you're playing hockey at a pretty high level, were you thinking at all that you might go somewhere past university at all at the time?
I think that's why I stopped.
Yeah, you knew that it wasn't going to happen.
The best case scenario would have been something maybe down the road, but it just didn't feel like it was ever going to go past university. I really liked what I was studying. I had some great opportunities in the summer, and I was pretty sure where I wanted to head after a couple of years in engineering and heading towards construction. So no, the hockey rink was quickly diminished.
So civil, do you think, if you're talking to a lot of different people in the industry, they might have mechanical background, they might, like for students that are choosing their major in engineering, how's that served you?
I think engineering's predominantly problem solving.
Yeah.
So whether it's
pattern
disciplines,
thinking.
It's analytical thinking. It's breaking down what you know and what's known, what's unknown, and how you solve it. And for me, I enjoyed structures. I enjoyed the civil component of it. Some people enjoy the mechanical component of it. They want moving parts and to build things. And it's the same thing in electrical, computer, mining, metallurgical. There's all kinds of disciplines of engineering. But I think if you've got an aptitude for analytical thinking and you want to learn to apply that, I think it's a great direction.
Yeah, thanks for that. So Boston right after that.
Boston right after that. I at the time, well, not right after. I guess after I graduated, I spent a year in Bathurst, and it just wasn't ready to stay there. And Allison, who's my wife, was my girlfriend at the time. We were living in different cities and just said, let's just try something. And we had no plan. We were initially thinking we were going to head across Canada, and the last kind of 11th hour, she had an opportunity to go to a job interview in Boston. I went down with her. She was successful in her job search, I was able to quickly find a job right after that with a construction company. So we were both doing what we wanted to do in a city that we loved. Like, we had such a great time down there and worked on great projects. At the time, it was the big dig time in Boston. So there was lots of engineering work.
Right. So what year was that? 2000?
98 to 2004.
Okay.
The years that we spent there.
Do you remember some of the projects, like the major projects in the city?
A lot of high-end residential is what the company I work for specialized in.
Right.
So I did some retail work, I did some school work, and I was working anywhere from Pennsylvania up through Maine, New Hampshire, and along the eastern seaboard, Northeast United States. So I traveled a little bit. Most of the work was centered around Boston, greater Boston area. But it's a great sports city. Yeah, it's a great sports town.
Did you get some football games?
I went to everything.
Yeah.
I was kind of the short notice
Bruins.
ticket guy. Anybody got tickets to something and they wanted to meet the guy, they'd give me their tickets. So I would say probably 4 or 5 Patriots games a year, 20 Red Sox games. And when we were down there, people used to come visit all the time. Like, we were still pretty young.
Lots of friends visiting.
That come down, never been to Boston before. We had a place to stay, and then we just had a great time.
Man, it sounds like a ball.
It was fun.
You're great job. You're getting the work experience you need. You're young. You're living the
we were both lucky. We both got on with great companies and stayed with those companies the whole time we lived there. We didn't move. Like, we had a great network of friends, and it was just, for that period of our lives, I couldn't have imagined anything being more fun and given us some experience as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And then so you made your way back to Dieppe after that.
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to be a little closer to the East Coast. We were planning to have a family and wanted to be closer. My parents are still up in Bathurst. Allison's family lives in Truro, so everybody was pretty close. And so we decided to make the move, and ended up living and working lived in Dieppe, worked in Moncton, and started from there.
Yeah. And so it wasn't long after that, maybe 6 months, a year and a half or so, before you and your former business partner started Avant Garde, right?
We met through the company that we were both working at, and just decided that we shared a lot of the same values, we shared a lot of the same work ethic, and thought we could just, if we're going to do it, then was the time. And we just decided, probably naively, just to go and give it a try. Like,
what's it like for you now to, having built, the last 16, 19 years, a company that's well established, you get all kinds of complex projects under your belt and in New Brunswick, and look back now and think of, like, when you first kind of stuck your nose out as an entrepreneur, as a, take the risk, to reflect back now, not that you didn't know then what you know now, but like,
I think I'm cognizant of it. I find that I'm very sympathetic to people that are just starting out, or I knew.
How else do you learn?
Yeah,
right?
How else do you learn? But also, there were so many people that were nice to us, that took meetings with us, whether it was architects or developers.
Because they knew you were local, because they knew you were trying, because they knew you were.
And sometimes just because we pestered them enough. Like, we're resilient like that.
You got to be resilient, right?
We're knocking on doors and what kind of projects are you doing? And this is what we can do. And people just started giving us opportunities, and not giving us jobs, but opportunities to bid. And then we just started. And it was just the two of us for a while. And then we started hiring site superintendents, and we started, just started growing organically, slowly, and very nimble.
Yeah. Can you remember any milestones, say 2, 3, 5 years in, where, at first you're focusing on a certain type of project, maybe you're bidding multi-res only or retail fit ups, or, but where, was there any kind of milestone projects where, or certain things, decisions where, kind of opened the doors for a new look, or, the next level? Is anything kind of,
that's a good question.
Or is it just a slow,
it was just
always a slow process,
growth. Like,
right?
we just kind of slowly kept the client base that we had. We knew that we wanted to work with, I guess somebody gave me some good advice early on, is like, just establish the 10 people that you want to work with.
10 clients.
Spend 80% of your time working to do work for those 10 clients.
And leave a little bit of the door open for anybody new.
And so that was it, the 20%. And we were very good at that. There was.
Are you still working? I know sometimes I do cut people off sometimes when I'm getting into this conversation, but are you still working with any of those first clients now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All of them.
Some of them. Yeah. Like, it's interesting now. You did projects 15 years ago, and the lease is being renewed on the space for the tenant that you did a fit up for 15 years ago. So you're working with the same and you're redoing it. It makes you feel old, but it also is very gratifying to say, okay, we all stuck together this long.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And so that's been really fun. You know, there's great developers in Atlantic Canada. You know, we're doing work now for companies like Crombie and Plaza Corp and Cadillac
Right, these
Fairview.
REITs, yeah.
And so the REITs are very good
Okay, and
customers
the
for us.
dealerships, yeah.
We're doing car dealerships. And then I always have a soft spot for restaurants. I don't know why. I think I'd like to cook. So I always appreciate people that are doing restaurant work. And
you just finished a couple, I think I seen in New Brunswick. I'm trying to think of the chain of restaurants.
Yeah, so in terms of chains,
Popeyes, maybe?
We've got a Popeyes under construction for Keel Group in
I don't
St.
think
John.
I've ever ate there.
I will when this one opens in St.
Yeah,
John. But
I've heard great things, though.
Yeah, they've been doing. You know, they opened the one in Halifax. They've got one open in Moncton now. We're doing the one in St. John. They've got other projects in Fredericton. So they're growing, and it's fun to see. We've done work for local restaurants like Atelier Tony, Pomodori Pizza, like just fun. And then older projects like that have been around for a while, like Tide and Boar was always one of the favorites.
Yeah,
like we did that.
Name.
And I know they recently
There's a Tide and Boar here in Halifax too.
Is there?
Right?
I don't know if there is or not.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something else.
They may be.
No,
they're just on Main Street in Moncton.
Yeah,
anyway, that's probably 12 years ago now, and they've
been
very
ate there
successful.
before. Great spot.
Great spot.
Yeah.
So, just kind of a mix of everything. And my kids get annoyed that we drive around different cities,
and you're pointing to stuff.
Yeah, we built that, or we worked on that, or we know these people.
Yeah.
So a new restaurant opens, and we're going. And it's like, Dad, did you
Yeah.
work on this?
Front-facing clients as a construction manager and project manager, sometimes a GC. That's those relationships. That's gonna be satisfying, right?
Yeah,
Once the project's turnnkeyed and it's handed over, and you can say that. Yeah.
You're confidently eating what they're serving.
Yeah, there you go eat there.
There
Right?
you go,
That's what the final.
That's it.
Yeah, nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
That's maybe not the great analogy, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, you guys have obviously it's evolved so much. I think 11 employees now.
I think Avant Garde would be up to 18 now.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm way off.
Yeah. So maybe we need to update our website.
Yeah, that's right.
We've hired a few people in the last 6 months, and we've been able to keep our core together. So I think I was looking maybe 17, 18 now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a mix of site superintendents, estimating crew, our finance and admin team, and the project managers. So I think we're 17 now.
Yeah. How many site supers? How many superintendents?
So Avant Garde, we are 7 superintendents.
Yeah.
And then we'd have 3 project managers, and then finance and admin would be 2 or 3 people. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's such a crucial position, right?
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I've had
some long-term guys.
Some long-term guys, and they're passionate about the construction. They're passionate about the company. Guys, I'll throw their names out here in case they listen, but like Alan and Chris, who've been over 14 years with us and have grown. I've watched their families grow. They've watched our families grow. We've always stuck together. And then project managers, I've got people like Joe, who's been with me for I think 13, 14 years now. So they help establish the culture. When new people come in, then they know that's the core of people. And I'm just really lucky that they're as passionate as they are about the people that they work for. Yeah,
it's interesting how you put that. They help to establish the culture, right? Because these guys, they're kind of the cornerstones of your business, right? The core guys. Trust levels
for them.
There,
I think the people that are coming in see that they're treated well. They'll tell people that they're treated well.
Yeah,
and that means a lot to people when you're trying to recruit new people. Mm-hmm. So it's very helpful, and I'm very, very, grateful that they've been able to be with us that long.
Yeah. One of the things I thought about when was prepping, knowing that you were coming over from New Brunswick was, I think a lot of our listeners are owners, developers, architects, obviously many, many different backgrounds that are tuning in and taking part. And a lot are site workers too, whether they're apprentices, any of the trades, foremen. I just wanted to kind of pick apart the difference between construction management and project management, because I think a lot of the terms get thrown out, and if you're not in that client matrix where like yourself, where you have project managers working and you're bidding and you're consulting on these different scenarios right from the top down,
right?
The difference between project management is as simple, would you say, as we're involved in the budgeting, the design, the schedule, and then the construction as well. it's kind of more holistic. Construction is just, looking after the construction, the different risk levels. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because you know, 6 or 7 site supers, 3 project managers, comparing it to like a lot of stuff that happens in rural Nova Scotia here. And I've worked on some of these projects where they're not major projects, not overly complex at all, basic builds, but there might be 100 or a couple $100,000 in the budget for just one site super / project manager, right? And because you only have the one position there and the project's a certain size, it's almost at the threshold where you kind of need both, and
yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense. It's long-winded. But
I would say construction management is a process. Like it's the team and it's life cycle of the project.
Critical path.
We work, when it works really well, the developer, the owner, the architectural design team and the construction management work together from inception of the project just to say, okay, what's the end result and how do we get there so that it's a viable project that meets the cost objectives, meets the functional program, and can be delivered in the schedule that's expected. And if everybody's working together on that process, and so for our team, that involves, myself, from a leadership perspective to meet with the clients, work through process. It involves our estimating team. It involves our project management group, and everybody's working.
Involves the outside architect, the outside consultants, engineers.
So they're looking at, you get a 33% set of drawings or even conceptual set of drawings. Because now a lot of times we're involved with the lenders and how do we borrow the money to build this project and what is it going to cost? So
you're helping the client.
We're helping the client with
the funding.
Exactly. So you're looking at the conceptual drawings, you present a budget to the client, to the architectural team. Everybody's got experience. Everybody understands, what we're trying to do and does it make sense? If you're looking at it and present it as X dollars per square foot, or if it's multi-res, X, number of dollars per unit, everybody has a crack to say, okay, what did you carry for this? What are we doing for this? You review the scope. Does the budget match the scope? Can we send this to the lender? And then the lender will give the developer the appetite for borrowing the funds. And that's become as big a process now as the design is. How do we get it funded? And developers are having challenges. It's different means to borrow the money, and everybody's transparent about it. When you collaborate and you're transparent, that's when construction management is at its best, and it adds value to the team and to the people that are going to be the end users.
Do you have a PMP designation?
I don't. No.
But you do have.
I'm Gold Seal certified.
Yes.
And
I'm not trying to pick it apart. I remember from your profile.
I've Gold Seal certified in project management. We've got another project manager that's Gold Seal certified. We've got 3 people actively working on their Gold Seal designation for project management. And it's a program that I believe in. I think it's certainly something that we would encourage everybody to get, especially as you're younger in the business. It's something to achieve, and it's a combination of experience and continuing education, which is the right kind of designation, I think.
Yeah, because these are all like you just explained. You're involved in inception of gathering funding, budgeting. You're working with architects on design, engineers on that side. It's complex relationships, right? That you're trying to manage, and I think it's interesting for from guys who and girls who are working on the site, sometimes to hear a little bit of a kind of a deep dive into that, just understand what it takes to get these projects to where, okay, now it's time we need the labor force, and right now it's a huge labor shortage, but just a little understanding of both sides, right? What's a consultant do? A lot of people, you hear the jokes, consultants this, consultants that, but
it's a hard sell when you tell people that it's going to take as long to design the project as it is to build it.
Or longer, maybe.
Or sometimes longer.
Yeah.
And that's where, it's putting ideas on paper.
Because you get the plans, on the site, and you're looking through the cut throughs and the details and the assemblies and everything. Yeah. You hear the saying, "Oh, somebody dreamed this up. Now I got to build it," right? And this is different mentalities, and I've been on both sides, but it's actually not that easy to get that set of drawings to you, right?
No, and I think that's one of the benefits of the construction management program as well. Like if you're using that process, you're not getting a set of plans without the understanding of how you got to that point.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
understood the reasoning. You've had your input to say maybe what are some options, whether related to cost or constructability. You've had your, say, kick at the can during the process. So you're not getting a set of plans to say like, what were they thinking? Like you were part of that thinking.
Yeah. What about just the topic of risk? Like I don't want to compare, contracting or, gambling is everything's a gamble, right? Getting out of bed is a gamble, but these larger firms, anyone is, in business is taking a certain level of risk, and it's so important to measure the risk as much as possible. There's always going to be variables that are unknowns, part of the fun. It's part of the hell that you have to go through if it doesn't work out. Exactly. But if you compare project management to construction management on a certain project, what's comes to mind for you as far as risk?
I think
or reward too, right?
I think construction management is a bit more shared risk. I think it's more transparent. So if you put a job out for tender and you've got 4 bids coming in a certain trade, and one of the bids is just too low, or it's lower than your in-house estimate, it's lower than the 3 other people that bid, they're confident they have it. If I was bidding the job competitively, I wouldn't carry that number. And that's what I tell the client. I said, if we want to
the one number that's out in left field,
it's just out in left field, and it's risk to the project. And I think you explain the risk, you qualify it as best you can, and then you work with the client to say, do you want to take the risk? Because I'm not doing it alone.
But you have to ask the client first, because they're going to say, well, if you're going to save $200,000 on that scope, why not take it?
They hire you for your opinion, and I think that it means a lot. I don't have anybody that says, some of them will say, well, why did you invite them? Well, we've done a lot of work with them, but I think that this is not the right number. And if we want to take the chance, or maybe it's a new contractor that's come on board, and you try to work with them on the pricing. You don't want to see people get stung.
No.
But you want to deliver the project at the best price you can for your client. So I think you just tell them that. I think it's maybe we work with this guy. It's going to be a little bit more work on our end just to make sure that this company is on time, or that they have the right resources. And if you're willing to take the risk, then we're willing to manage it for you.
Right.
And on the other format where it's design, bid, build, you probably don't take those risks as much, because it's exactly that. You have 20 sub.
You're tied to everything.
You 20 sub trades bidding on the project, and every time you carry a low number, especially in the environment we're in now, where people's price are good.
There are no low numbers.
5 days, and you see like my price is good for 36 hours. It feels like you're getting like bids from a Mission Impossible. Like you can read this bid and then it's going to self-destruct. So you've got to really manage your risk carefully. When you've been in business a long time, you have great relationships with subcontractors that have been at it with you for a number of years, and you tend to maybe want to just stay a little safer with the people that you know that you can rely on and trust. And at the same time, you still want to be low, and it's always a balance. But
that's a tough balance.
I sleep well most nights.
Yeah,
there's a few nights.
How do you do that?
A few nights where you're like,
detached,
you submit it and you're like, oh God. I remember submitting one thinking that, this
just feel it in your gut.
Yeah, just like, I can't bid job. Why did I bid it that low? And then they called me the next day and said I was 5th of 5 bidders. Like it was just, everybody had gone low. It was a nice job. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was nervous and didn't sleep well.
And you were the highest, yeah.
So you just never know.
You're right.
It's
you never
part
know.
of it's exhilarating when you do that. Like it's always, tender closing days on competitive tenders is still a rush. After all these years, you still have people scrambling, and it's just qualifying, and everybody waits till the last half hour to send in their bids, and you're just hustling to put your best number forward. And I still get a rush out of it. I still find it find it really fun.
That's great to hear. So when you're working with some clients, on the transparency, sometimes, the difference between the finance side and the construction side, maybe it's best if kind of the mentality that, let everybody do what they're specialized in kind of thing. And does it happen? I mean, it's got to happen at times where they're not as lenient to let you manage, your expertise. I'm not asking for specific examples. I'm just generally, is it always...
I mean, you try to stay in your lane as much as you can, and every once in a while, everybody kind of has an opportunity to say, what about this? Or, you have the benefit of past projects where something else, a different option might have worked, and you want to present that, or maybe some of the challenges you had in a previous project was something that's similarly designed. I think that's the value you add.
Well, that's what they're paying for, right? They're paying for your.
Yeah, I'm not picking colors. I'm not picking materials. I'm not telling them, it's wood flooring or carpet or vinyl plank. Like, I can tell you what it costs, but it's not my lane to say this is going to look great in it.
No, right. And what I guess what I'm getting at is, like, you'll see that a lot here. I'm sure in New Brunswick to some extent too. Is like some of the larger complex jobs in Halifax where certain developers will have their own internal construction.
Yeah.
And they're getting so complex that they're subbing those out to major GCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
SCM or SGC.
Yeah.
Because it's just at a point where, someone has to handle the construction while the developer handles all of their, wrapping their arms around it that way. So.
Yeah. When somebody a developer starts a conversation, is usually I do these myself, but I think it's a little bigger than what my crew can handle. You're always, okay, well, how is this going to fit?
Right.
Because they're not going to stop doing what they do. And we're going to add, bring our expertise to the table. And it's worked out sometimes, but we don't see it a lot. Like if it's, if you're either developing or you with your own construction team, and some people are doing that quite successfully.
Yeah.
And other people are just comfortable to, they have an owner's rep or somebody in their company that can lead the construction and work with the general contractors. Right. And it works really well.
So right now with Avant Garde in New Brunswick, you mentioned car dealerships, lots of retail and restaurant construction, fit ups. I think you just finished a mall.
We did a professional plaza in Quispam-Sis.
Yeah.
That was a great project. We did the construction of the building and then all of the fit up work. There's a oral surgery center, an orthodontic clinic, physiotherapy clinic in it.
So you did all the tenant fit up stuff too? Is it one owner then for the whole thing?
4 different owners.
Okay, and you managed to get in there on everyone?
Yeah, so we were doing a good job, and there was a connection between all the companies. Like, it's all kind of similar professional services business, and we managed all of them. But
it's good for mobilizing, right?
Yeah, you're there, and the building, and we had a great site super on the project that was able to build the building, and then all of the subsequent tenant fit ups. So that was a great project. I think we're doing just getting ready to start the last 1,900 square feet for another
dental.
No, it's more of a
esthetician. We're gonna say
not esthetician. It's not the right word. It's oh God, no.
That's all right. We'll figure it out. It's right on the tip of your tongue. Yeah, we'll cut it out. Don't worry about it.
Dermatology.
There it is.
So I found it.
Okay.
No, those have been good, and we've got probably close to 100 units under construction right now from the multi-res space in and around Moncton, and with a couple of other projects we're working on in the pipeline on construction management deals. We've got close to 1,000 units that we're building. Mm-hmm. Most in and around Moncton, but
all multi-res for several different developers.
Mostly a lot of this work. There are a couple of different, but the bulk of it is for Quest Capital.
Okay.
And their
Maritime wise? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the big projects we're really excited about is in Cole Harbour, Westfall area, near Lake Loon. How
many units are you allowed?
That's 600 units. Yeah, it's a big building. It's 2 big buildings, and they've recently got their development agreement approved and just submitted for the development permit.
Right, it's 2 separate structures then.
2 separate structures with some connection, like walkway connections, but 2 independent buildings. So
will these be 2 of the bigger projects you've
for
tackled?
Sure? Yeah, certainly. And we've just recently finalized a partnership with Quest Capital, where they're partners now in our business, and we're doing construction management for them on their multi-res work. So it's we've been working with them now for the last 18 months. We've formalized an agreement to partner with them. So they've got project work in around a lot of land in Dieppe that's currently being developed, ready to be developed, and also the big project at Lake Loon, which is a retirement living complex.
Okay, so that'll be the first project in Nova Scotia.
We've done a few here and there, but just when developers we're working for ask us to, we haven't actively sought out opportunities in Nova Scotia. So we're working on building our team to get them ready in Nova Scotia.
I can think of lots of construction management firms in Nova Scotia that'd be licking their chops on these 200-300 units that you got going. That's great. It's exciting.
It's obviously the opportunity to bring us here, and that's where we're starting. It's not.
What a great start.
Yeah, no, we're really, really excited about it. And
so are these in the design phase? When's groundbreak? Or is there
so we're expecting to break ground in the spring of 2024.
Okay.
So like I said, the development agreement was approved in the spring, and the development permit is being submitted imminently, and we'll work on costing with the architectural group. They'll work on their design development.
Full project management for you.
Full construction management.
And
so
they're a partner in your business.
They're a partner in the business now. So it's they were looking for some consistency and had debated about building their own team internally. We were pretty excited about what they were doing and had done a good job for them on other projects, and just saw the synergy. We really worked well together.
Very cultural match.
Yeah. So we actually share office space now. We've moved into shared space in December. Share space with them and their team, and are working. They've got really exciting plans and land secured, and are at different phases of a lot of different work. So
for you, is obviously had a great journey with your former partner with Avant Garde Management, construction management, and then 3 years later to have this relationship established and this large project on the go, like just peace of mind there. It's got to feel pretty satisfying.
Yeah,
for you
I
at
think
this
it's
point, just for where it's headed and where it's at, and
it's exciting for
everyone.
For everyone,
I'm not saying just you, but
but it's there's a runway of work for the next number of
it's so
years.
important for the employees to know that too.
And so they know that there's a lot of work there, and it wasn't always like that. You never really knew. Sometimes I can remember times when you're wondering, like, what's coming next? Like, I've got nothing for this guy in 2 months. And so peace of mind for sure, the consistency from their end, they like what we're doing. I think we've got the right people, we've got the right technology, we're at the right size for a great partnership. So it's been a good start, and it's really just getting started, and we're really, really happy about it.
Amazing. You mentioned technology. Obviously, one of the partners of our show is Procore. When did you integrate Procore into your operation?
So we started, I would say, 5 years ago.
Okay.
And we were getting into it, and very fortunate that a couple of people in the company took the lead. And
so probably had used it before.
I was involved with a project that was as an owner's rep for a group that had used it and got a taste of it that way. And then it's everywhere now. You see,
of course.
I was able to visit with them at their booth at Construct Canada. I got pretty excited about it, and really just felt it was the right fit for where we were as a business. It's
what others did you consider, like FieldWire, other options, or probably don't remember at this point?
I'm trying to think. Like, I had some experience with Primavera and some of those programs when I worked for a company at AGCM Boston. And then at Avant Garde, when we started, we were ham and egg in it. Like, it's Excel and fax machines and whatever. So it was it worked really well, and it's allowed us to grow the business with a set standard for document control, data management, field reporting. So it's been really good for us. During the pandemic, when things kind of slowed down at the beginning, we chose to keep everybody on board, and we invested a lot of time into training, and that's paid off now. So we've got users in the company that really know how to use all the features.
Right.
They're able to work with the field teams, and so it's been a great fit for us.
And do you have it fully integrated with the finance side of the business as well? No.
But if there's anybody out there that knows that, we're working towards that.
Well, we've had other companies in the show that have, that's a big undertaking, I think.
It is.
And whether or not, like, obviously it's going to have challenges, or whether or not it's, it's worth it at the end of the day once it's done. But I think the transition is
it's a big
tough.
task, and I think we found that out pretty quick when we looked at it. It's not as easy as pressing a button. Like, there's got to be, the data match to sync from one platform to the other. So right now we do it separately with Sage and Procore, and there's some duplication, but I think it's.
What about estimating?
It's
same thing.
Well, we're using a lot of different programs. We consolidate everything.
Estimating somewhat new for Procore, right? They didn't always have the estimating.
So we've actually done the demo and are probably going to jump to that platform soon. But we use on-screen takeoff for quantification. We have
is that PlanSwift? Is that Bluebeam? Or is it
similar to Bluebeam? We have one guy that was very comfortable with Bluebeam, so we have some that use on-screen takeoff. We have
some still use the metric imperial rulers,
but we're extracting data now through, like, we're working with an architectural team on some of these projects with Quest that's drawing in Revit. We're able to use
Is that
the
EXP
model.
or?
No, we're working with Light and Lynch
Okay,
based out of
yeah.
Halifax.
Yeah.
So they've got, they're providing us with the model. We're able to extract data from the Revit model, quantify it in Revit and Navisworks, and then
For estimating.
yeah. And then so we've got all of these different platforms that we're using to send out bids, to quantify, to collect, and then compile subcontractor, and then it all just still ends up in an Excel spreadsheet. But it's just, we haven't found a better way to do it.
But I don't know that there's all that many people that are estimating from Revit. But it's interesting.
Yeah,
to hear. I think you'll see that more and more. Right?
We've done some training, and then we've hired an estimator recently that has excellent Revit experience. And so when we got the model, we're doing, all of a sudden, window counts are really quick. Your cladding materials are quick. Your partition types are quick. Like it's pretty impressive, and allows us to
big time saver.
Yeah, big time saver. So when we're looking at these bigger projects now, it's not. It's still a big undertaking to especially on the conceptual estimates, but we're getting enough data from the design team that it's working really well.
And I'm sure with a lot of your repeat subtrades that you're working with throughout New Brunswick, that they're used to Procore at this point anyway, especially in working with you. I mean,
they've got to do it for submittals are there, their contracts are there. They've got to So there's a familiarity. Most of our competitors are using it. We're seeing it. It's becoming more of the industry. It is the industry standard, I think, for most of the companies that compete with us.
Great. So one thing I was going to ask is, so when you do this project in Nova Scotia, not your first, but a major project, obviously you'll be looking outside of your current network of subtrades, in the near future.
Certainly.
Is that something that?
It's something that we've started already.
You have to.
I mean, we're not naive. The runway of work in Halifax is probably bigger than it is in Moncton, and we're seeing a lot of backlog of work. So we're working to develop these relationships. We're going to continue to work to develop these relationships. I think it's an exciting project. It's not necessarily downtown. But again, it is in the HRM kind of vicinity. It's not like for sure.
Yeah,
it's one of the challenges that we'll have, but one that I think that we're up to, and we know there's a lot of great contractors here, and we've got a great project. So we're going to promote that as much as we can, and I don't know if it's certainly a concern, but I think that it's one that we can manage. I think for sure. It's like I say, it's a great opportunity, and it's a great project.
Contractors aren't going to turn down a project like that with a good reputation company like yourself.
We're not just
going to
be
that tough to.
So you can meet with somebody and tell them that they're not sure who you are. You can, hopefully they're listening to this podcast, but if not, then you can meet with them. That could
be one of the benefits of making the trip over here.
Tune into this. It's going to be challenging, but it's at the same time it's exciting, and we're up for it.
For sure. And in the same regard with logistics and supplies, material, and it's kind of maybe the same situation there. But I mean, New Brunswick's not that far, right? In some sense, it's the same. It's the same landmass. It's the same province almost. You could say
the Moncton to Halifax corridor is not that far, and there's some opportunities that contractors from everywhere from Moncton to HRM.
What can you say about the New Brunswick market as far as competition for you? I'm thinking of retail construction companies that might be Maritime wide, whether it's Ryson or RCS, some companies like this. Like, is there certain type of projects where you've got your niche with certain clients, but if they're public tenders, you might stay away from them? It's like not doing as much GC work, especially with Avant Garde. You're taking a different approach here, right? You're taking a unique approach and kind of bypassing a lot of the bottom feeder, maybe, for lack of a better term, or lump sum bidding, and just building these client relationships is what you're all about. So you're not that concerned about as much about kind of the general
still competition. Whether, you're competing, stipulated price or construction management. A lot of the competition that we have in Moncton is companies with the headquarters in Halifax area that have offices set up in and around Moncton. You mentioned like the RCS and Lindsay's, and Ryson doesn't have, but we see them for certain developers, and that's the kind of work that we like. It's the kind of developer we like, and we'll compete against them because they're structured the same way we are. That we know that they're managing it in a similar format, and we can be competitive with them.
Right, and that's always a pretty tight game. I'm assuming.
Tight, it is tight, and you never
on all levels. Yeah,
it's competitive, and it's good for business.
Keeps everybody honest.
Everybody sharp in your company, and keeps your subcontractor network growing, and you find people. It's a healthy mix. I don't think you want to be 100% construction management. I think you still want to keep some part of it.
Diversified.
Some part of it. So we're lucky we do that.
Because I see, depending on the trade, some trades are maybe more diplomatic than others. But, you do see a lot of the sub trades, like in the local market here in Halifax and Nova Scotia, will talk to each other and, just in a matter of there's lots of market out there. That happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Is there same thing kind of happen between you and some of the competition? Is there much conversations or not really? Not at that point, no. Not at that level. We'd like to welcome our newest partner here at AC Media, the Freeman Group. Freeman Group Financial works closely with business owners, professionals, and retirees as their primary custodial wealth manager. The Freeman Group is targeting contractors and people in the construction industry as they move forward. The Freeman Group is a great choice for all your financial wealth management with a local touch. We look forward to having the Freeman Group on our podcast several times throughout the next 12 months with specific financial educational episodes. Sublier Trinity is Atlantic Canada's newest drywall and interiors contractor. Sublier Trinity is a joint effort between Trinity Energy Group, local Division 7 experts for over 17 years in Atlantic Canada, and Sublier Constructors, a highly reputable commercial interiors company based in Ottawa since 1986. Sublier Trinity has been performing work on commercial projects throughout Atlantic Canada this year, while planning for more growth in the years to come. We'd like to thank our partner, Pivot Accounting. If you're a contractor or small to medium-sized business owner in the construction industry and are looking to outsource your payroll, accounting services, and financial needs, Pivot Accounting is a great option.
No, it's just you see your competitors at events, and it's it's cordial, and you how you doing, and you got me on this one, I got you on this one, and so I have a lot of respect for the people that are doing what you do, and ideally there's enough work for everyone, and you want to continue to grow your market, and they're trying to do the same thing, and you just do it the best way you know how, and it's never going to survive with just one company. So as long as you've got good competition, it's good for developers, it's good for subcontractors, and I think in Moncton we've got a really good balance right now.
And you've done a lot of multi-res, like 40 to 60 unit kind of complexes all throughout Moncton, New Brunswick, anywhere in New Brunswick, rural New Brunswick.
So we've got as small as a
St.
28
John.
Unit, we've got we've done a 36, 42, we've got we've got one that we're getting ready to start, 126 units. We're doing wood construction, we're doing concrete construction, we've got the trades that have the expertise in those fields, so it's exciting. Like, we've got a lot of multi-res. About 3-4 years ago we made the decision to really try to invest to get in that space, and it's paid off. We've got not only our partners at Quest, who are have very they've got really aggressive plans for growth in our area, but there's other developers that we've been able to work with and deliver projects successfully for, and that just generates new opportunities. They see your sign, and it's a booming market right now.
I remember talking to different guests on the show from the AGCM kind of perspective, and they were tackling different types of projects, like obviously like wastewater treatment facilities or airports or healthcare projects, these more complex or just a lot different type of project, and they'd tackle anything as long as they had a sheet for it somewhere in North America. Like, if they had done a similar job in Southern United States, it looked a lot the same, and they had a template for it and they completed it, then they'd give it a shot, right? And it's kind of about having that resume, but having the experience and the peace of mind knowing that we've done something like this before, so to get a couple under your belt. And
I think we're probably in that category as well. Like, I wouldn't say we specialize in any one area. I think, like, we just recently finished a private OR clinic in Moncton. For us, we've been doing a lot of dental clinic, orthodontic work.
It's classified as healthcare, right?
It's healthcare, and that involved getting an opportunity to do a private OR clinic, and that's been successful. So that kind of leads you to what are some other opportunities, and we've got some opportunities now in the healthcare space. So I think, like you say, once you kind of got to get your feet wet with one, and
at the right risk level.
That, fortunately for us, it was a developer that we knew, and a medical team that we had worked with before. So they were comfortable with us, we were comfortable with them, and we worked with a design team that had the expertise in that space and delivered a great project. And so, that opens up opportunities. As I said, we've got enough portfolio on restaurants, office space. We've done some of the nicest, Class A office space.
Yeah, any stick out for you? Grant Thornton?
Grant Thornton was a great client, and that job went really well. Like it was a live reno where we had to do swing space for them, and they were renovating a floor, moving to another floor.
Oh, it makes it tough.
And those are tough.
Night
those
shifts, yeah.
Some night work, and it's an occupied building, not just on their staff, but on the 3 floors above it and the 3 floors below it. So that went really well. And companies like BDC and Ernst & Young and engineering companies, WSP. We've done a lot of nice office space. We've done some work for some of the banking institutions. Like it's so we've got a good network on that.
Some heritage properties at all?
Heritage, we were knee deep in heritage properties. Heritage work in St. John, especially in the uptown core.
Does the theater company fall into that? No, that's not a heritage property.
Yes, that is. Yeah,
you're in there, but you're kind of waiting on.
We're waiting on just for that project to go. We had been working with the design team. I think the pandemic slowed that one down, but the intention is that it'll go forward, and that's the Performing Arts Center for the St. John Theatre Company is a fantastic project. It's a great team.
100 and some year old, right?
Yeah, that's an old courthouse that we're converting into a Performing Arts Center. So it's been on the table for a while, and it's going to go. We're just waiting for everything to come together for them. But we have done work with them, with that crew, the team at St. John Theatre Company before, and they're great people, and they're passionate about what they do, and they really do a great job in St. John in that space, and we're really, really excited for that one to go.
That's great. Sure. So any of these other heritage property kind of projects that stand out to you that you've been involved with in the past, I mean, those got to be like, some of the ones that, I mean, it's a lot of effort and a lot of protocol,
you see construction loopholes. Styles, you're like, you don't know how are you going
to get this done?
How are we going to
get this done? Replicate this cornice?
How are we going to line up these floors between these two buildings? But there's a lot of, I can remember way back when we did a Tim Hortons in a historical property in St. John. Like that wasn't easy. Like you can't do it normal Tim Hortons standards, and you
within the heritage
within the heritage building.
But was the design just a typical Tim Hortons retail outlet kind of thing?
It was, but you had to maintain kind of the facade and the heritage building, and you had to keep a lot of the properties of it. So it's we've had a lot of interesting projects over the year in that space, and my background was that, like in Boston, I did a ton of it. Like we were working on brownstones, like on Com Ave and Mass Ave in downtown Boston, and it was just a logistical nightmare. And it was, buildings that were, it's just, but you just got it done. And there was so many great people that you met that were experiencing that.
It's gotta be tough to price those though, right? On the estimating side, you got to add a contingency fee of 30-40% just to make sure you're safe at the end.
You just never know what you're going to uncover. And so now, as much as we can, when we're doing renovation work, whether it's historical or let's get the demo done before we start. Like,
before you price it.
Can we just see what's behind the walls and see what the structure is, and just eliminate a lot of the guessing that we're going to have to do, because then you got to fit systems in, whether it's ductwork or how we're going to get lights running, and how do we drain water from the roof.
What are you going to connect to?
And nothing. It's just it's always a challenge. So those take a lot out of you. They really do.
Yeah. And, is it worth it?
It is, because it goes back to the beginning. It's just problem solving and challenge. And as long as you're working with the right team and everybody's on this, kind of moving in the same direction, you'll get there. People get upset if things don't work the way that you initially thought they were going to. And in the renovation space, that's a real possibility. You just can't predict everything that's going to happen once you get started with it. So it's new builds are great. When you get a new build, it's always a treat.
Especially after you just finished a heritage property renovation.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on the labor shortage and the current situation in New Brunswick with that? I mean, it's a thing for everyone. But
I think people are getting more accustomed to it, and it's not always. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And
so you're allowing a longer schedule for your as a project manager?
You just can't muscle your way through it anymore. Like you used to be able to, if you needed, let's say 10 drywallers, well, the company only has 6, and they're not going to find the other 4. And they tell you that before they start. And so the subcontractors are doing better to manage expectations. Delivery companies are not over-promising anymore. Like they're being realistic. And you just communicate that to clients, and it's in the news, it's everywhere. It's not
Yeah.
it's not an avant-garde
yeah.
issue. It's a construction industry issue, and everybody wants to have more people and wants to get material faster and work done quicker, and it's just challenging. But I think people are getting it's not been just for the last 2 months, it's been for the last 3 years that it's been like that. And so people are just getting, I don't think anybody really wants to get accustomed to it, but you have to be realistic about it. And as long as you're working with people that are, not over promising on what they can deliver, it's still frustrating. Like there's stuff that know that could be done, and you don't have enough guys on the site to do it. But nobody does. And it's just the new reality. And as much as you try as hard as you can to manage expectations, and people still have deadlines. And so you're trying to, what I think the positive change in all that is.
Well, if you're a project manager, you're the one establishing the deadlines too, right?
What I think people know now that they need to start sooner. Like gone are the days where you could, put out a tender, say it's got to start next week and I've got to be done in 5 weeks. People just say, I can't meet your schedule. Like that's not realistic. And everybody is saying the same thing. So people have to adjust, and it allows us to plan work much better. So people are saying, okay, well, my lease expires in August of 2024. I want to build a new building. When should I start? Now. Like if you're not starting now, like it's not going to get done in time. So I think people are you're just reacting to what's in front of you. And I think it's developing some positive changes in terms of, the get it done now, work nights, work weekends. We got to get this done. It's just, you can't do it anymore. It's a 12-month a year industry, and, people are working full time, and it's just, there's not enough labor, but there is labor, and you just got to get it done with that. And I think, not everybody's always happy, but I think people understand. And if you communicate that well, then I think it's going to benefit you. And
there's a lot of value to, as a project manager with a front-facing client, to have your pulse on the industry enough to know, like, hey, I'm going to set these deadlines, and I'm going to do it realistically, because those are the only things that matter once they're down there on the page, right? To the client. And
it may turn some people off, but I don't think that anybody's telling them, your competitors are telling them anything different. And if they are, it's gonna bite them, and it's fast enough.
Yeah. So with you mentioned like the different diversified, the client base that you have, obviously a lot of great private relationships right now. Do you have the capacity to, keep your eye on the public tender sphere, and, that some of these jobs are really great projects, high dollars, safe to be involved with because of the monies and the scenario financially and stuff. So that's still something that's you kind of just always have your team working on too, or do you feel like sometimes you don't have the capacity with the new, the new bill in Nova Scotia, and like you're kind of getting away from this one? How's that? How do you kind of manage the?
Yeah, I think we just made the decision that we don't follow it as much. We do bid competitively. There are some, REITs or developers that have an internal policy that they need at least 3 bids, and they'll get a select bid list, and we're happy to bid on those against people. But the public work is it's a different setup. It's a different management. It's, there's some people, you don't see a lot of people that do both. Now, these days, you look at the bulletin they publish every week with the bid results and through the association, and you're like, oh my God, there's only one bidder, or there's 2 bidders, and they're big numbers and they're big dollars. But I think it's a different type of construction, like it's a different type of client, and you really got to be set up to do it well. And we just made the decision that we've done it before, and I'm not saying we won't do it again, but right now we're pretty happy with the format. And if we can keep that balance of 75% construction management, 25% competitive tender, then I think that's really our wheelhouse. And we know that when we're in that format, we've got enough work that we're working on that's going to come down the road, and enough work that when you bid, if you're successful, it keeps going. And so
you guys have, so many recurring clients that are well known, like Home Depot, New Brunswick Liquor, Irving. Is there any projects that come to mind when you think of some of these clients like that you've worked on that were kind of just more satisfying, maybe, or just one after the other, just kind of, and some more than others?
Yeah, I don't really have any, Dan. I can't think of any that jump up. Like I remember we were really lucky that we were working with Crombie early on. Like they were really, we went to their office, met with their team. We had their
because of so much work that happens.
They were doing a lot of work in New Brunswick at the time, and they had Highfield Square. They had different, and so they gave us an opportunity, and we never really wanted them to regret it. Like they were one of the first people that took a chance.
Yeah,
on us.
you really want to impress them.
We name dropped their name everywhere. Like
Yeah.
as soon as we started doing work for them, we're doing work for, and they were, they had project managers, their team there. I think very highly of them, and that led to opportunities with Sobeys and in their construction group, and then just kind of got our foot in the door. And so I can remember doing work at Highfield Square in Moncton, and some office work in the towers that Crombie owned, and they felt like it was such a big deal that a company like that would take a chance on a startup like ours.
Oh, it would have been like hitting the jackpot.
I don't ever say anything negative about Crombie. I really, really respect what they do and how they treated us. And I always thought that if I get the opportunity, that's how I would treat somebody that was starting out. I wouldn't certainly wouldn't slam a door in their face or let them. So that's the one that always jumps out to me. I tell that to a lot of people that how well we were treated by them, and they worked to make sure that we were getting paid, and we knew all the people on the phone. Like,
when you think about it at the time, like Crombie, like the guys there, they the project managers and their team, that locally there, they'd have a good pulse on the market, and they'd see somebody maybe young, at the time young, coming up, like a new company trying to get to the next level. And I'm sure, like, depending on the company, the mentality, the culture, like they would want to, if the numbers are very close, or if, they'd want to give you that shot, right? And knowing that you would have maybe a little more incentive at the time to impress. Yeah. So it'd be a smart decision on their part. And then just to see other people, kind of grow, just kind of reach down and help the next guy up, right?
Yeah, I think, it just, why would anybody want to take a chance on somebody they didn't know, that was just starting in the business? And it's hard. Like we were talking earlier, like it's not a really great startup culture in our business. Like for somebody to start a new company, you don't see too many startups that survive. And, so when mix and competitive tender, and, at that time we weren't bonded. So, you're putting up certified checks and trying to get work that way. And then, we had good opportunities, and couple of local developers then that I met through different networks, and Patrick at the time was hustling in St. John, and he had connections through his network, and then we just started going, and then we were able to get some work through JDI, and then then we had some opportunities with Sobeys, and those are always great companies to work for. They've got their construction division, and they've got some really competent people that are managing the construction for them. So,
but like you said, like it's such a hustle and a grind. You have something new, like, and anyone who hasn't done it, like those years, and then to have a relationship like Crombie or some of the other ones that you've got, where you can breathe again, knowing that, hey, we got a work coming for the I don't have to grind it out anymore. Now I've got to shift my thinking to, like, how am I going to structure this? How am I going to keep that feeling is. And
that's why I guess I appreciate what you guys are doing here. Like, you're telling the stories of the people that have had similar starts, and meeting some of the people that like either they're subcontractors or contractors. There's a lot of shared experiences in that, and really just, it's just, beat the asphalt and see who can go.
That's right.
And you're not getting paid anything, and it's just a real leap of faith. And we're fortunate we survived and have thrived, but we've got our teeth kicked in a few times too. And
who hasn't, right? Who's got to a level that you're at? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can look at some of these people reach the success they have, and you're not going to know them, a lot of people, and think, like, must be nice, right? You hear that all the time from people towards, maybe somebody who's on the ladder of success, so to speak. That's but you don't know what they've been through to get there, and they took the risk, and they took that journey. It's hard.
And I think,
like, you get your teeth kicked in, literally.
And like I mentioned earlier, the guys that have been with us a long time, like, they were there, and we
stuck with you.
We talk about it, and we say, it's remember this and remember that. But they're great friends, and they work really hard for the business. But they knew what it was like when it was, working to get paid and working to get going. So it's as much for them, like, that we have these new opportunities, that I'm excited, because they were there with us, like, and while maybe they weren't taking the financial risk, like, they believed in what we were doing, and I think that's what the energy in the company is the passion and the belief that those guys had, and we're able to grow off of it.
You mentioned the large project here in Nova Scotia with Quest, the 2 separate complexes, 600 units total. Something else of recent news for you, I think, that you're able to disclose is acquiring a new company as well.
Yeah. So recently we've got an agreement. Well, not recently. We have an agreement in place to acquire Rice Contracting, who is I would say a competitor, but we didn't really compete a lot against Rice Contracting. John Rice has owned that business for 30 years. He has a great index of clients, a great list of projects, great staff. So I met John a couple of times over the years, and then as he was planning his exit, we started talking, and it seemed like we were trying to grow. He was looking for an opportunity to find a succession plan for his business. So we started talking, and then as I got more into his company, it was easy. John and I got along really great. He's got great people, a lot of the same values in his company that are the foundation for his company, or the foundation for our company. And they were really strong. They are really strong in the design build world, and we hadn't been in the design build world at all. So it's we're getting opportunities maybe that we're Avant Garde clients that are better suited to work with Rice staff and so on and so forth.
Is this, and speaking of the Revit estimator with Revit experience, is that kind of part of that transition too? Is that how that came about?
Yeah. So they're not as much on the Revit side. Like they have an architectural technologist in-house, and then an architect that they work with that reviews plans. So they draft in-house. They deliver a lot of projects. They're dealing in they're an authorized Butler dealer in New Brunswick. So they're doing Butler buildings and doing those in design build. And so they're heavy in the industrial space. They've got a lot of experience in the food service industry. Did a lot of work with Tim Hortons over the years. So
sounds like a great fit.
Yeah, it's just worked out really well, and they've got great people. And the same as what the things I mentioned that I liked about and that you draw energy from at Avant Garde. There's a lot of long-time employees at Rice as well that have been with John for 20 years, 15 years, and
you would have some kind of rapport between the teams, right?
Yeah, so it's
locally.
We it was announced to the teams, both our team and their team, what was happening, and we're able to reach an agreement, and so we'll be. That's just about finalized now. I'm not letting anything out of the bag. It's not a secret. The staffs all know, and so we're looking forward. They're going to operate as their own company, and we'll operate. Avant Garde will continue to operate, and they both have different specialties, but there's some synergies between the two companies on training and opportunities. So it's exciting, and it allows us to grow through their company, but their company was a great company, and it's just it's the next phase, and Rice 2.0, and we're excited about that too.
You have a lot going on, Rob.
Yeah, no, it's busy. Busy's good.
You get to relax tonight that you're here with your wife and daughters, right?
Yeah,
you're staying at the 4 Points,
just down the street.
Yeah. So you're just gonna hit the boardwalk tonight and just relax.
Tonight. I think they're probably out putting a dent in the credit card this afternoon. It's busy, but we're busy as a family. Our kids are active. Allison and I have worked together for the last 12 years. It's been great. Any
comments or not advice, but comments for other couples that are trying to pull that off?
I'd say that we do it well because we're very open with each other. She calls me out on a lot of my crap, and she's really valuable in what she does. So professionally, she commands respect because she's earned it.
She's in the foxhole with you, so if she's calling you out on something, it's got to be true, right?
She's we're both engineers, so we both are analytical thinkers in the same way, and both enjoy problem solving and the opportunities, and so she made the switch from consulting engineering to construction, and it's been great for our business, and our marriage is surviving. So it's we started when we started Avant Garde. I can remember Allison was pregnant, and our eldest daughter now is getting ready to go to university. So I find those are the moments that you think of, and you're like, crap, I've been at this a long time. Like, so her whole life has been in this business, and so it's rewarding, and it's also makes you feel older.
Yeah. Anything else that I'm conscious of the time here because I'm sure you have plans for dinner. We're about an hour in, but Anything else that you want to kind of get out there, promote, shed light on for Avant Garde or for yourself, or obviously the shift into Nova Scotia with this major project, and then obviously there's going to be more for Quest throughout, and I'm sure with the market the way it is now, you'll be in Nova Scotia for many years.
Yeah, well, we hope so, and it's certainly exciting, and just a big shout out to our team, and
it's hard to mention names because then you're going to leave somebody out, right?
I've listened to other people do this podcast. So I was like, could I remember everybody?
I'll have to get you back on.
But our team is great, and it's not perfect, but we work really hard to make it fun. We encourage people to get involved, and not only with their families but in their communities, and there's opportunities in the industry and outside of the industry to add, give back, and it's something that we believe in, and people take advantage of, and we want them to be successful. There's a balance, and I don't know what it is, like work life, but people give a lot, and more often than not, they don't expect enough in return. Like everybody's passionate about what they do, and you try to just match their energy and give them some direction and help them to succeed. And if we keep doing that well, then I think we'll be able to continue to grow. And we've got I'm not anywhere close to being ready to stop. I feel like I've been at it a while, but I'm just really feel like I'm getting going. And so there's great energy around the business and the industry in general. So
there really is. Yeah, you're right. The energy is the passion, the energy. It's infectious, right? It's a great time to be in the industry. What about, we talked about labor shortage earlier. A lot of people on the show will tell you, talked about your time at McGill. There's so many students that are local, NSCC, engineering students at Dal, SMU, whether it's UPEI in Newfoundland, Memorial, for people that are, not quite there yet or thinking about what they want to do with their lives. Like, that's kind of where we can solve that problem downstream, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we've had great luck with the NBCC Construction Management Program.
NBCC as well, yeah.
Doing really well, and graduates in the civil engineering technology or the building construction management program, structural, architectural. They do a really good job prepping people for our industry, and we've had some recent hires from there that have been really good. We've had some immigrants that we've hired that have gone through, engineers in their country, have taken the 2-year program at NBCC. We've been able to hire them through that program. You're looking, your last 3 hires are from India, Nigeria, India,
and they're local here.
And they're local. They've they've been in this case, they've all been in Moncton, and they're well educated in their home country and are looking for opportunities in Canada, have landed in Moncton and gone through NBCC or similar programs. So it's been really good for us in attracting talent, and for those of us that have been in the business a while, now it's time to start bringing in and start training, and we've got we've got the right people and the right infrastructure to do that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I think part of having these conversations is to shed light on what it's like in the industry from all kinds of different perspectives, and hopefully, it does something to help kind of lure some younger people that are maybe not thinking about this industry and what actually it is like, and the amazing opportunities that are there, and
I think the technology,
the technology,
integrating technology in is now, and on top of we mentioned Procore,
it's a game changer. Yeah,
we're using open space for reality capture on site, and so now the management of it becomes,
so many people are using open space, right? And it's such a simple idea.
Yeah, it just really works. Yeah, they do a great job with that platform as well. So we've integrated that, so people are more technically inclined and enjoy the technology. So you're seeing now that when you're hiring a young 20-something, like they really just dive into that, and they make that program sing, and the rest of us are just kind of
how are they doing?
All of a sudden I'm my parents now. Shout out, Mom
now
and Dad.
You really feel old. Now you really feel old.
So now the kids at the office are telling us how to use technology, much like we had to teach our parents. So
I know, it's so true.
How to plug in the VCR.
Well, it's like the story of like you take an iPhone to some foreign country in poverty, and so this 5 or 6 year old kid just knew how to use it. It was designed so well because it was another part of the extension of the body or whatever, right? But you're right, like the generational shift in technology is can't keep up to it.
Even your kids, like you watch them with their iPhones or their MacBooks, whatever it is,
and you're probably thinking like, geez, open space and Procore, like, man, if we only had this 15 years
Yeah.
ago when we were first starting with
And
all
I
those
did that
Excel
too.
sheets, right?
I
Printed out.
worked
You couldn't
in-
read it off, sitting off the
Yeah,
border of the
yeah,
page.
yeah. We were when we were young and working in Boston, we were the sinks and the dinks, like the single
Yeah.
income, no kids. Like,
Yeah.
we were always the ones trying to figure out the computer programs. And then here we are,
Yeah.
20 years later, 25 years later. And it's like, oh God, we're on the other side.
Oh man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Rob, to talk with you.
Yeah.
This is great stuff within the industry and your story and Avant Garde Construction Management, and it's great we're getting more guests from the New Brunswick area, and everybody has a story to tell and lots of exciting news. So congrats.
Yeah, I appreciate
and
that.
Best of
Yeah,
luck.
yeah.
And
thanks for having me on. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate what you guys are doing. You're doing a great job and telling the stories of people that it's really interesting, and to learn not only about the people that but their stories and their products and their challenges. It's I really, really enjoy what you guys are doing. So congratulations.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for having
much.
me on.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, awesome.
We'd like to thank our longtime sponsor, Cook Insurance. Cook is your trusted insurance broker in Atlantic, Canada for 50 years. The Cook team opens up opportunities for contractors by proactively managing the requirements of their bond facility. They expand levels of support and negotiate preferred rate, all while prioritizing ease of doing business. A Navicord partner since 2020, Cook is one of the largest construction brokers in Canada and offers national strength with a local touch. Whatever your insurance needs are, Cook has you covered. The team at Atlantic Construction Podcast has been able to build a strong relationship with the folks at FCA Surety. FCA Surety is strongly invested in supporting the Atlantic construction marketplace and helping contractors to build their businesses. We highly recommend them.